The Kamloops Broncos came into week 4 of the season with something to prove and something to show the home crowd after a lackluster 33-30 loss to the Valley Huskers last week. But they were up against an Okanagan Sun team they had never beaten in 6 years. The Broncos at home to clash with the Sun, who come into Hillside Stadium after a week of turmoil that saw them forfeit a win against Chilliwack. First quarter, there's a botched handoff between Connor Whitelaw and Jacob Palmerin, and the Sun are set up inside the Broncos 31. On the Suns' possession, Kamloops gets pressure on Okanagan QB Theo Deezer, but Deezer gets out of trouble. He then heaves it downfield into the end zone, but Zach Rieger drops it. Leads to a single 2-0 Sun after one. Second quarter, Cam Bador now under center for Okanagan. Sun go for it on third down, but the Broncos D stuffs them. Turnover on downs. The offense unfortunately can't do anything with it, but on the ensuing punt, Kamloops does get a lucky break. They pin the Sun deep, and after a penalty, Okanagan start their drive at the 1-yard line. On the first play, handoff to Dylan Fortune, who flat out drops the ball. Broncos are given a gift, and on their second try, they get in the end zone. Palmerin with the score. Broncos would miss the convert at 6-2. The defense then steps up again. On the next okay possession, Bador can't find a target downfield, scrambling for his life in the end zone, and finally Peyton Chang drags him down for the safety. 8-2 for Kamloops. Okanagan knocking on the door a couple times before the half. Sun gamble here on third down, but the Broncos blitz and Bador is swarmed. Kamloops take the lead into the break. Second half, Deezer is back in the game, hands it to JT Fernandez, who rips off a 29-yard run to the Broncos 13. 2 plays later, Deezer finds Dion Baines for the 7-yard score, 9-8 for the visitors. Late in the third quarter, Broncos driving deep into the Suns' territory, but Whitelaw throws up a duck. It's picked off by the Sun at the 10-yard line. That's where they start the fourth quarter. But they slice their way down the field. Baines here slips a couple would-be tacklers. He's got room down the sidelines. Nice little stiff arm, and he's finally forced out at the Kamloops 43. Next play, Deezer zings one over the middle to Tommy Howes. Howes does the rest. He goes 43 yards to pay dirt. A 3-play, 100-yard drive to take a 16-8 lead. Then after another Whitelaw interception, the Sun cash in again. Deezer forced out of the pocket. He then slings it downfield, finds Thomas Huber in the end zone. The Sun go on to win it on the road, 23-8 over Kamloops.
I'm very proud of our kids on defense, especially. We did a great job. We created 6 turnovers ourselves, but at the same time, Kamloops came to play, and they had a great game plan. They blitzed us. They went into zero man, and we didn't make the adjustments to the second half, and we came out in 2-back protection and went max pro, and everything fell into place. But until we did that, it was tough.
I'm very happy how we rebounded from last week, and it's unfortunate about the score, but from what we saw, the Sun are one of the better teams in this league, and it just shows us that we can stick with these guys, and that's there's a lot of positives, and that's one of them to take out of us.
Believe it or not, the Broncos are still in the playoff mix despite not winning a game this year. Kamloops is 3 points behind the Vancouver Island Raiders for that 4th and final playoff spot. The team they face this Saturday at Hillside Stadium. But realistically, it's the Valley Huskers that the Broncos are chasing. The Huskers lost big on Saturday, 56-3 against the Raiders. They're now 2-1-1, but the Broncos have one more game against the Huskers come September in Chilliwack and 2 more against the 0-4 West Shore Rebels. The TRU Wolfpack men and women's soccer team are a year away from making the big jump to CIS, but if Saturday's results are any indication, there's a lot of work ahead. The Wolfpack men had a tough outing in their first exhibition game of the year, dropping a 7-0 decision against CIS competition from the University of the Fraser Valley. The Wolfpack hung around in the first half, but tired legs and a lack of fitness caught up with TRU. The Cascades were able to take advantage of a Wolfpack squad that was playing less than 24 hours after fitness testing to kick off training camp.
Guys were trying to do too much, which we talked about at the beginning of the game, move the ball quickly, get into open space. Being tired affects the thought process there. So we'll have to keep working, and hopefully we get, we're missing 4 or 5 starters. That would have made a big difference.
Back to football, the Canadian variety, the BC Lions proved their worth in the CFL's ultra-competitive Western Division over the weekend. The Lions took care of the Stampeders at home and are now 5-2 after Saturday's win. Only their second victory against a team above the 500 mark after taking out the unbeaten Argos in Week 4. Travis Lulay, he and the Lions introducing their new all-black uniforms, looking pretty sharp there, and that's how BC starts the game. Lulay fakes the end around to Arsenault, dumps it to Andrew Harris, slices through the Calgary D, then turns on the Jets, a 40-yard scamper to the end zone, 7-0 Lions. The Stampeders would answer, but on the ensuing kickoff, Tim Brown with a little magic of his own takes it from the zone 14, just follows the wall of blockers, finds some room down the sidelines. Beautiful juke there. He's good. He cuts back to the inside and he's gone. No one will catch Brown. A 96 yards kickoff return. Lions back up 14-7. Calgary then goes ahead. Markway McDaniel gets a block from Nick Lewis and forces his way into the end zone, stamps ahead 16-14. But before the end of the half, Lions with a big play. Corey Banks pops the ball loose from John Cornish, and Adam Bighill gets the interception there, setting up the Lions nicely inside the Calgary 30. And BC cashes in on the ground. Back up Thomas DeMarco on the quarterback sneak. 21-16 Lions at the break. Final seconds. Lions up 26-22. Stamps going for the win. Kevin Glenn trying to find a receiver, but Jabari Arthur can't hang on. Lions with a huge win over Calgary. Both teams are now 5-2 behind Saskatchewan.
Here at BC Place.
Speaking of Saskatchewan, former BC Lion Geroy Simon continues to etch his name into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, adding another accomplishment to his already brilliant CFL career. Last year was at BC Place where he passed Milt Stegall to become the CFL's all-time leader in receiving yards. Simon is now just the third player in league history to catch at least 1,000 passes in a career. He did it in the fourth. Simon's historical catch, came in the fourth quarter of the Riders-Alouettes game on Saturday. He's now 17 catches away from Ben Cahoon's all-time record. As for the game itself, unbelievable finish. Riders look like they're driving for the winning score. Darian Durant is stripped of the ball. It's loose, and Montreal's Gerald Brown picks it up, and he's off to the races. Brown goes 55 yards to pay dirt. Owls in the driver's seat up 21-14 with 1:45 to play. But those resilient Riders come through in the clutch. Durant airs it out downfield. Taj Smith gets behind Owls covered as a 65-yard bomb, and it is tied. And before it can get to overtime, the Riders get the ball back, and it's Chris Milo who boots a 36-yarder for the win. Saskatchewan is 6-1. And in front of the Lions and Calgary in the West. Coming out of that game, the Alouettes may not have Anthony Calvillo for Thursday's tilt coming up against the Lions in Montreal. Calvillo left the game with the head injury, and head coach Jim Popp said today he doesn't expect him to suit up. Yankees slugger Alex Rodriguez and his legal team are fighting back against charges that he used steroids. A-Rod's lawyer is accusing the Yankees of mismanaging his medical care, saying the team sabotaged his medical treatment to keep him off the field. Despite the tension, A-Rod continues to play, but there certainly isn't without drama.
Alex Rodriguez stepped up to the plate last night and took another direct hit, igniting an explosive exchange between Yanks manager Joe Girardi and the umpire Brian O'Nora. The Red Sox fans, not surprisingly, loved it. As the animosity surrounding the slugger gets even more heated, A-Rod now has a new lawyer and a new line of attack, accusing the Yankees of withholding medical information on him, leading him to play injured when he shouldn't have. The Yankees deny it, with team president telling him to, quote, put up or shut up if he has evidence. At stake, around $100 million left on his contract. And over the weekend, another hit. A 60 Minutes news report that claims members of his inner circle named names, accusing other players of using performance-enhancing drugs during the investigation into A-Rod. He says those claims are not true. In the meantime, 4 innings later in last night's game, A-Rod crushed his 649th career homer, setting off an even angrier scene in the Fenway stands.
Together, Willie has some advice.
Just love each other and forgive each other.
I don't know. You'd have to be really obsessed with a TV show to do something like that. I've never seen Duck Dynasty.
I've watched
Me neither.
No.
Yeah.
So I don't really know anything about it, but good for them, I guess. That's our time for tonight. Susan's back again at 6:30. Join her then.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.